Hello and welcome back. Glad you made it. It's another social production. We're doing it on what? Wednesday, October the 16th, 2024. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. If it's your first time, buckle up, buckle down. Where can you find these videos? On Instagram, follow me there. Subscribe on the YouTube channel for the full-length videos. Check out patreon.com/RobSadger if you'd like to fiscally, financially support the show. If you've been with me from the get-go. Sending all the love right back to you. Walk one right down here, starting from Canada. Moving down south to the United States, further down south, Mexico, over there, South America, over there in Europe, Asia, Africa, Antarctica, Papua New Guinea, New Zealand, Australia, Caribbean islands, Jamaica, Wagwan, over there in Finland, the Finnish people, the Swedes with your meatballs, with your juicy meat, with tender meatballs, back in Tokyo, Japan, Pyongyang, Shanghai, over there, it's all around the Tartaria. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. It is Wednesday, halfway through the week, halfway through the month. It is almost spooky season. You can feel it in the air. Spooky shit is about to go down, I think. But nonetheless, pew pew, pow pow, brap brap to the gang. Thank you for joining me. Things that are just, we're gonna just keep it loose. We're gonna keep it loose. I don't know what we're gonna talk about in particular today, but that's not different from any other day, is it really? Have I been reading a bunch of stuff online? Yes. Have I been viewing a bunch of videos online as well that have been popping up questions in my mind? Yes. Did I think to myself, maybe leave it out, but also I'm like, oh, I can't. So with my limited surface level knowledge of the things that I just found out online through a little bit of reading, and yes, he sometimes reads stuff like books, gay, but nonetheless, he does like to find intriguing things, because nothing's better than intriguing, juicy stories. And then we get together and share them. God, I just want to know, because we all know so little. It's just so little stuff that we know, and it's limited time only. So you only get, if you're lucky, you get like 12 decades on this marble that's floating on who knows where, with what. Who cares? Doesn't matter. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, I came across some info that I've come across in the past as well. Your boy's all over the place with the shits. And what did I read about? What's intriguing, you ask, and I'll share with you. It's Tartaria. Has anybody else, leave a comment if you heard about Tartaria, the Tartarians, ancient civilizations, lost empires. I'd like to hear more about this Tartaria. Allegedly used to be a civilization, high-tech civilization. Oh, and they got wiped out via mudslides and whatnot from like 1740 to like 1840, give or take, mid 1700s to mid 1800s, if I'm not mistaken. Mud floods came, and these bad boys and bad gals were constructing the beautiful monuments, buildings, high-tech shit. Apparently they were messing around with free energy too. And then I was reading a little bit more, and oh man, human species, these mudslides are a bummer. Apparently we've had many a great resets in civilizations. One, to continue a civilization, but like civilizations, because they all take and borrow from each other, and the next one comes in and takes over, and it becomes the greatest, best thing. But nonetheless, we are living in one of the best times. But that's the thing, you hear about our technological advancements, we get all giddy and all fucking like, yes, robots, yes, flying taxis, yes, autonomous vehicles, no autonomous vehicles, whatever your opinion on the matter is, doesn't matter. We're getting the better phones, even better phones, better phones with cameras. But there is a little bit that's left in terms of a mystery. There's so much mystery left, because that's the thing, you read about things and you're like, man, okay, so we certainly did have technology. We've certainly definitely had different civilizations come and go, and they've left things for us to look at and ponder how they got there. The pyramids is another thing that I was reading a little bit about just a little while ago. Has anybody come across this piece of information? Anybody? Because we always ask, we're like, we don't know what the pyramids are built for. What are they made for? Who built these pyramids? Why were they made? And I came across this little juicy piece of information. Allegedly, theoretically speaking, I know this, I don't know, because you read a bunch of stuff and then you read other stuff that like either is a proponent of that or kind of like debunks it or tries to debunk. I don't know, but it's all, we just try to, come up with more pieces of the puzzle, twist it around, try to put it together. But allegedly, according to something that I read, The pyramids were built for, what do you think they were built for? It's in the shape of a pyramid. Maybe it was just, there's been people that say, it's one of the strongest triangles, start with a triangle, one of the strongest shapes in humanity. You can't go there, which leaves me to ask, why are we not shaped like triangles? We kind of are though. If you look at it like a molecular level, if you look at your cells, even your skin, if you look at the palm of your hands, you'll see tiny little triangles. So we are technically made of little pixels, little something. I don't know, with triangles. Maybe they went with the strongest shape, and that's basically like, well, we can't make, spheres, because spheres you don't know. One day you build it in one location, next thing you know, gust of wind comes in and it rolls down the hill. Next thing you know, somebody's ended up with your giant sphere. We can't have that. And then they probably at one point built a really thin, long tower. It was the longest tower, and it was thin. And then again, winds came in and cracked that little bad boy in half, that was a lesson learned. Like, again, it's the medium happy. You don't want a shaft that's too long and too thin, because then it'll give you length but not enough girth, and nobody's happy. Sure, you're like penetrating right inside the abdomen, but if there's not enough girth in the structure itself, there's, you got to fill out the cavities, you got to fill out the walls from the interior. So you got to make it sturdy, you got to give it a good base. At that base. But I don't know why they built it the way they did, but apparently, allegedly, according to what I read, building the pyramids and mummification apparently may have had, allegedly, I don't know, according to this book that I read, something to do with retracting souls back into our realm here on Earth. And that's one of the things we know a lot, but we don't know so much more. That's the amazing thing, because that's the thing. We've all seen people. We get up, you've seen yourself, you've seen your loved ones, your friends with these body bags filled with juice. You go to sleep at night and you wake up and we take it for granted, and there it is, working fine until we don't. Until one day, some of us, it happens to everybody, different ages, different circumstances, of natural causes, of course, because everything is in nature, I think. But then something leaves. People either get old and die, they get wrinkly and die, they turn into prunes and just go in a corner and just abandon their family members like an old dog and just go sit in the corner and just lick their own asshole and die. Or they may be surrounded by their loved ones and they lick their asshole and they're dying. Or they might get they might be in they might be gang banging and the drive-bys, they might be doing drive-through drive-bys and the gang banging, hustling lifestyle with the gang bangers. They might be into, collecting debt. They might be into betting. They might be into the stock market. They're yelling, buy, 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 buy. Next thing you know, they're ending up in some sort of, underground, bisexual gathering of like-minded individuals. And they're just, grinding up and down on each other. And it's whatevs. But that's what happens when you go to the stock market and you keep yelling, buy, buy, buy. So you surround yourself with people. But nonetheless, you have energy, you have this thing, and for lack of a better word or whatever it is, we call it a soul. Some people call it a soul, some people call it the flicker, the juice, or the electricity. And then you lose that, you die, and then your body's there. There's a body, there's nothing inside. You flick it on the forehead, there's nothing inside. And apparently ancient civilizations, some of them were fascinated with the afterlife because they didn't believe in necessarily, conventional or like modern views, which is a whole mix. I don't even know if it's not like there's only like one modern view and perception of death or like life itself. So I don't know, but they were concerned a little bit because they're like, oh, let's retract these souls back to the earth. And apparently the pyramids were built for that. Now I don't know what and how, and didn't go into explaining as to how they would go about retracting these souls, but apparently the souls do go away somewhere around the Milky Way, which again blew my mind. So I'm just like, oh shit, all these, they do say we come from the stars. Some people say that shit too. So we're like, okay, all right, I'm kind of following. Souls, stars, milky, wet. Yes, it all makes sense, of course. But the higher echelon personnel in society, i.e. the pharaohs, they might have opted for getting mummified, because apparently having a body mummified would assist you, once placed inside the pyramid, would assist you in retracting back your soul to the earth realm. Because apparently after you sign off from your body and go into God knows where, go into the Milky Way, it takes some time for it to retract, and it will retract some of it, and it helps apparently. So mummification, let's bring that back. That's the thing. We've all just been fucking partaking in, cremation and donating body organs, which is fine. But if they believed in the soul that much, and they believed in us having the ability to come back in some sort of a reincarnation, or some sort of a, just get back to earth or something, why didn't they somehow try to preserve the brain? Because I think that's one of the things that they first went for. They like scooped out, is what I've heard, and I don't know, wasn't there. It's just what you read, what you hear throughout the time you live, and you hear that the Egyptians went in the nostrils, scrambled the brain and yanked them out. And you think that maybe they do something to preserve that, but no. But then again, you can't really preserve meat. You got to keep it refrigerated. Maybe they didn't have that, but apparently throughout history, we've had access to different sorts of technology. And again, I'm not the first to obviously say this kind of stuff. It's one of those fascinating topics that's on everybody's minds these days, alongside other things, like picking up tampons for the old lady. It's bleeding right now. But the point is, I don't know what we've had. I don't know what we've lost. I don't know what, that's the thing. It gets one, it could be that it gets lost. Two, the more mysterious one, it could be that it's hidden from the masses. That's the other. And if anybody's hiding, I'd like you to stop it. Reveal more so that we could know. So it's interesting shit. But apparently, yeah, and different civilizations have come about and gone with whatever, with either natural disasters or due to humankind's, ability to enhance itself to a certain level and then just take itself out. So that's one of those things. But apparently at one point we did have a lot of electricity. Apparently, even as far back as I'm reading some stuff, apparently as far back as maybe 6,000 years ago, allegedly. Maybe, I don't know. 6,000 years ago, we may have had electricity. Maybe not in this form that we know today, and maybe not in the, maybe not in the form that it's available to us now, but maybe. If not 6,000 years ago, what about a little bit later than that? What about a little bit later than that? What if we've had it for like a few thousand years? I don't know. But one of the things that caught my attention, forget about when we've had it, which is interesting in and of itself, but the fact that it was free energy, because they concentrated on that shit. And then you'd remember hearing about Nikola Tesla coming about and saying, hey, we should all have free electricity. And I'm just like looking around like, why do we pay for electricity? Why do we pay for electricity? Why do I gotta pay for electricity? It's one of those things that's once you set it up, you set it, you forget it. It's right there. Who's paying for what? It's not like there's somebody out there plugging in like cords and I'm sure there's like maintenance people, but throughout the history, do we need to keep paying for electricity? It's one of those things. Like Wi-Fi should be free, and they do make it free in certain circumcisions. You'll find that they'll give you free circumcision and Wi-Fi. Like you're on the subway, and they're like, oh, we can get you Wi-Fi on the subway now for freezies. I'm like, oh, we can have free Wi-Fi on the subway, but no free Wi-Fi at home, huh? Interesting. Why would you want me to have free Wi-Fi in the subway and not at home? Is it perhaps because you'd like to know where I am? Not particularly me, but like the whereabouts of the masses. The masses. So it just gets you to think of none of that commie shit either, all right? And that's when I gotta catch myself like, oh, are they trying to get me to be like, yes, energy should be free. It's like the human right. It doesn't matter who came up with it. It should be everybody's for freezies. But then I'm like, oh, maybe that's how they try to fucking get you to join some commie shit, which we're against up in this bitch. Ethical capitalism, which I don't know what it means, but ethical capitalism, money, baller ideologies all day, every day, make it rain, homie. You know what I'm talking about. Dollar bills, y'all. So none of that commie shit, but also, respectfully, if I may say, electricity kind of seems like one of those things we should have for free. I don't know why, I just got a feeling. It's just innate. It's just like, yes. That and access to clean water. But, Wi-Fi for sure. Like, I mean, it's great that you come up with it. It's great that you make it, but once you make it, it's there. But you got to make a buck. So fuck it, charge people. I don't know. If you like to charge people for electric, maybe we're not charging enough. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe some people should be getting their power shut off. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. I like free electricity. If we can get that going, could that happen? And apparently they weren't even using like, you know, cords and wires or like wireless shit, using maybe electromagnetic fields and whatnot, which is stuff that I don't fully understand, or, I don't think there's any clear explanation, because if we could have had it, could we have it again is the question. And who is it that doesn't want us to have free electricity? And better the resources that make us not reliant on, let's say, fossil fuels, maybe more nuclear shit, maybe just a little tiny nuclear battery, I don't know. But I'm interested and I'd like to know. So who are these Tartarians? One, were they bigger in size? And I'd like to know that. If anybody has more information on Tartaria, please, like legit information, not just stuff that I could Google or watch on YouTube, just something like just, legit stuff. Source it. If I could have a little bit more info, did we have giant people where, maybe, and then I've heard at one point that maybe they've used frequency and sound to move the stones and Giza for the pyramids. Frequencies and sounds, that kind of makes sense. Vibrations moving things, that does make sense. I don't know how you'd make it work in such a, high volume like that. These giant stones weighing a few tons at a time. Who do that and so accurately, but then we still can't figure it out. They're like, maybe they were using water. Maybe they were wet. Maybe we're all using water. Maybe we're all wet. So stuff to think about. If you've heard of that theory, if you've practiced that, if you've known a relative to get, if you build a little pyramid in your backyard and you've mummified your loved ones, and you let them rest in there, you scooped out their brain and you somehow retracted a soul back to the earth, let us know. If you have more information about the soul or whatever that means, leave a comment. Also, get out there, make something. Give us more info is what I'm trying to tell you. All right, come clean already. It would make sense if there were giants around. If there were like 14 feet people walking around. And it's one of those things where you got to go back and like read other texts, which I've not gotten to yet. Apparently I don't know. I believe I've not read the Bible. I'll say this, but apparently I gotta read that book. Gotta read that book at one point. It's just one of those things. Every time I come around, I'm like, but there's so many other books. But I should probably get to that one as well. But nonetheless, maybe there were giants. Maybe there were 14 feet tall people who helped carry around this. But that would make sense if there were bigger people. We're like, how did they get these giants? Maybe they were bigger. Maybe they were like 2-3 times bigger, than us. And then you're like, what would happen to their bones? Well, bones, if they get bones, just, you go back to the earth. Eventually, if enough mud floods and enough, droughts and enough floods come in, you just fucking turn into dust, which sucks. But then again, how do we find bones for dinosaurs? They're fossilized. They're fossils. So how do we not have any giant fossils of human beings then? Read only that then, and you're like, maybe we do have giant fossils of human beings, and where's more? Show us more. I'd like to know. And there's so much to discover. So it begs the question, are we at our most technologically advanced form right now in the current present, which is AKA the future is now, or were we more advanced in the past? Dun, 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 dun. Are we getting dumber or smarter? Dun, 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 dun. Are we getting bigger or smaller? Dun, 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 dun. All the questions that are in everybody's minds these days. Dad, I'm picking up a pack of condoms so you can go home and give her the ho 1 2 1 2 check 1 2. But sequence and priorities don't matter. It's just a matter of coming in and having a little bit of fun together. Ladies and gentlemen, it is halfway through the week. Let's have a sip of this bad boy. Let's get going. Winter, of course, is around the corner. I know transitioning from fall to winter in Canada is typically like way faster than other places. We have a few weeks of fall, and the next thing you know, you're nip deep in snow. And I said, my God, why must so many beautiful tits be out there under layers of parkas and sweaters and hoodies and jackets and mittens and gloves and knee-high socks, and just why? Why don't we get to see enough tits in the winter time? And there's a correlation because people have that they get the old SAD, the SAD, seasonal something depression, and that has a direct, if not, it has some sort of a correlation, maybe a causation as well. That if you don't see enough tits in wintertime, you're gonna get the winter blues, man. So which is why I came up with a transparent clothing line: parkas, jackets, hoodies, turtlenecks, sweaters, blouses for both men's and women's out there. And again, everything is see-through and transparent, so you can walk outside, still be covered in layers upon layers of warmth and comfort, but still be able to show those tits and not have people searching for them, because that happens a lot. You'll see people, it gets like cold, you'll put on layer upon layer. Come spring, summertime, you gotta pat yourself that you don't even, I've seen people walk around, I can't, have you seen these tits? They'll post it on milk cartons. Have you seen my tits lately? And people get confused, people get lost. You see people fucking run around in circles, asking neighbors, asking family friends, going online, vlogging about it, to no avail, which is fucking sad. But that's when I said, you know what, it takes one, but it takes all to come together and create the first ever transparent, clear, see-through clothing line for winter for men's and women's who'd like to put their tits out on display and not waste a goddamn second. Because again, if 6 months of the year is freezing up in this bitch, and you gotta wait till summer or spring to see a couple of them bangers out there, them hootie hoos, you know what I'm saying? The milk bags. You can't, it's just helpful that way. So you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait. You're welcome. I did this with the intention of wanting to say that, yeah, why should we let weather? That's one of the things they say later on when we, get to, certain level of civilization. Type 1 civil, type 2 civil, what type of civilization? Oh, we're the type that lets it all hang. And regardless of the season, we don't let seasons and nature dictate to us. Let us look back in history when our great ancestors from all across the globe came together and say, we're not gonna take it. We're not gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. They said, we're not gonna bake it. We're not gonna bake it. We're not gonna bake it anymore. They said, we're not gonna shake it. We're not gonna shake it. We're not gonna shake it anymore. We're not gonna rake it. We're not gonna rake it. We're not gonna rake it anymore. We're not gonna stake it. We're not gonna stake it. We're not gonna stake it anymore. Dun, 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 dun. That's our past, which brings us to the future, which is right now. So again, don't let climate, weather, the fact that we're again floating in midair restrict you. We gotta get to other planets, and we're doing that via rocket ships, which are amazing. It's just fucking fantastic. Little by little together. I love the collective we. A lot of people do a lot of things, and then we collectively come together and we say, we did that. We're going to space. We did that. And I like being part of that we, collective we, because we together are doing a lot. Individually, you're like, okay, I didn't have anything to do with the actual rocket ships. Or did I? Or did I? Or did I? Well, let's all just come together and take a moment. I'll say this, ladies and gentlemen, that swallowing baggies to take little bits and pieces of drugs and narcotics across borders is something that is solely placed upon the shoulders of drug mules or drug dealers that go across borders, and they swallow baggies and they fill them up with all sorts of narcotics: heroin, fentanyl, crack cocaine, stardust, pink cocaine, whatevs, dragon's breath, all that shit, the good. But they take these little baggies and they're makeshift, and they swallow them, and then they may have a little string attached, and they tie it to a teeth, and then later on, once they've arrived on the other side, they gag, because they've got no gag reflex. They just finger fucking their throat, and they're throwing up these little baggies of drugs. And I said to myself, my God, what's with all these makeshift baggies? How come we don't have a regulated, standardized baggie system for people who like to swallow baggies, not just necessarily for swallowing drugs and narcotics and whatnot, illegal substances and whatnot, but for everyday use. For everyday use, sure, we're not blessed like the kangaroos. We don't have outside pouches. We don't have those external pouches like kangaroos. God gave us, or the nature gave, whatever, something gave us insides, and there's plenty of room on the inside. And I said to myself, these guys are brilliant. They're taking stuff with them. Haven't you ever wanted to carry more? Exactly. I've always wanted to carry more, and I've only got 2 hands, despite the fact that I've been fighting for my 3rd hand. Petitioning, writing to the city, I want my 3rd hand, man. No response yet. The city council is apparently busy. Priorities. But the point is, ladies and gentlemen, I said to myself, you know what, if these beautiful drug dealers, what even are drug dealers, what even are drugs? If these people have to go and make makeshift baggies, which sometimes pop open, next thing you know, you're overdosing at the airport because you got a whole baggie filled with God knows what inside your midsection, you know what I mean? You're fucking foaming at the mouth and shit, which is not cool. Not cool, man. You're scaring the children, you're scaring the dogs, you're scaring the cats, you're scaring the elderly. Not cool, because why? We don't have standardized, we don't have, regulated baggies. People have to go out of their way to make their own. When I came in and I said, you know what, we set up a company, set up a manufacturing company which creates small, medium-sized, and large-sized baggies for people to swallow all sorts of items, not just drugs, but anything, literally. You go out for a run, I've seen people, sometimes, you're going out for, you've got your phone in one hand, and then you may have a water bottle in the other hand, and then where's the rest of the stuff go, fellas, ladies? I'll leave them. I'll give you a minute. Where's the rest of the stuff? Your keys, your other wallet, your other phone, your chapstick. It's cold. It's getting go. You're gonna have to carry a chapstick. So if you don't, then you're gonna get them dry lips, and people are gonna look at you and think you're a crackhead giving blowies for like $5 a piece at corner of church. But the point is, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just saying, why limit ourselves? Because you're like, oh, if I want to swallow a baggie, I got to get into the drug trade. No, you don't. You can literally swallow these baggies and they won't burst. They're reliable. Every step is meticulously followed through to ensure that these baggies do not rip open. So you can literally put anything in there. You can put your wallet inside, swallow it. Later on, you're like, oh, let me get my car. I'm gonna run to Starbucks for a second, at my local, indie coffee shop with all sorts of they thems, which I loves, and I'm just gonna go. Oh, how would I like to pay? Give me a second, lady. And you just fuck your throat, you gag and you regurgitate, and there you go, boom, right there. No more patting yourself down like a fool, like in 2023 we used to do. Oh, I've seen people outside. Where's my wallet? Where are my keys? What an idiot! What an idiot! But no more, ladies and gentlemen. Look the way you feel. And that's basically the message that I want to send here. Swallowing little baggies filled with all sorts of, take a little snack. You don't necessarily need to eat right now, but down the line in 2 hours. And who likes carrying lunch boxes? If you're an adult carrying a lunchbox, okay? You know what I'm saying? And not in a good way either. Just get your life together. So swallow a baggie, put a little sandwich in there, and surprise people. Somebody might be like, my blood sugar levels are low. Does anybody have a sweet snack on that? And you could throw up right beside them and be like, here, have a Snickers bar, have a Mars bar, have a Twix. You're welcome. Or other things like, whatever. It might be that time of the month in a couple of weeks, but sometimes it's on and off, and sometimes it's not exactly on the same date. Ladies, swallow a couple of pads. Next thing you know, you're not the gal at the party who's like bleeding through her white dress, making a fool out of herself. No, you feel a little bit of spotting, you run to the bathroom, gluck, right there. You know what I'm talking about? Throw it up, open up the baggie, insert the tampon or the Tampax, whatever, or just a homemade rag. If you like to, made out of hemp. If you like to, good absorption, takes it all in. The point is, we don't need to limit ourselves, okay? And we don't need to go into other lines of work to be able to enjoy the promises of the swallowing of the baggies. Again, small, medium, and large for everybody. Speaking of technology, of course, ladies and gentlemen, I've just like you received a collective, clapping sesh for the we that we got together, that we did what we did, and that was what? We went into space a little bit, I think, or out there with shuttles and rockets, and then we landed it back together, if I'm not mistaken. SpaceX, Elon Musk's SpaceX rocket ships, they took off and then they landed. There was a mechanism that's now been invented. I think it's new. It's called the chopstick. It's called the chopstick method. There's a giant rod, there's a pillar made of beams, metal beams. It's got two arms resembling two chopsticks. And as soon as this rocket ship lands vertically, I'm talking about not horizontal, which is, I'm talking about vertical shit, erect, comes down the way it went up. Blue Chew, not sponsored by Why Not? We like hard dicks and clits around here, ladies. Or any other sexual performance enhancement pill. We don't, I don't care if it's like not regulated. You don't have to, I don't care. As long as we're moving product. As long as it gets the people's heart rate going, I'm for it. Rashes, bring them on. Thinned out blood, let's go. Who doesn't want thinner blood? What, you want that viscous shit? Get a little cut all of a sudden. It's like, I gotta wait for this blood to come out. It's so thick. As you have thin blood, it's all over the place and no time. No more wasting time waiting for thick blood to drip out. Well, you can have the thinnest blood using our dick pills. Our dick pills guaranteed to give you thin blood. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that we are going into space. We're landing vertically, which is fucking dope. We're using chopstick methods, which I guess the moral of that story is when you're dealing with a large shaft or just a small to medium, just like a regular, some medium-sized shaft. If you're out there, you're like, how do I? I'll tell you what, not with one chopstick, not with one hand. Ladies, gentlemen, use both hands. If you slow down the video, it seems that if you watch it quickly, it just looks like there's just two arms like this catching the rocket. But if you slow it down, which is something I like to sometimes do, you could clearly see that the rocket is being all the way down and up and catching it, because it's kind of like taking a football, but more phallic shaped. So again, when catching shafts, small, medium, or large, chopstick method is the way to go, and always use two. Don't ever go with one. I don't know how long it's going to take to catch this. I don't know how long it's going to take either. You're just using one. Don't tire yourself out. You got two, unless you come in with just the one, which I'm not going to be like, why she only had one? Not that kind of fella. And again, they're making great parts using robotics, all sorts of, bionics are coming in, all that shit is happening right now. So let's get you an extra arm if you're missing one. If you're just good with the one, then don't be complaining if it takes longer. All I'm saying is we're coming together and the collective we is achieving a lot, which is nice. Simultaneously, I did see it was a big event, bunch of events. The autonomous taxis coming out in a few, small markets, but then in a few years, in a few decades, 5-10 years, coming all over the place, I think, I'm not sure. Gets me a little bit excited, gets me a little bit scared, gets my taint hard, gets my taint a little bit wet, which is why I like my taint to be wet and hard. That's why I watch these videos. I'm like, yes, autonomous cars, but also no autonomous cars. I don't know how I feel about it. I am excited for the technology. Of course, it's cool shit. But at the same rate, I'm like, do I want a computer controlling my car? My car? You want a computer controlling my car, homie? Oh, well, see about that. But apparently it's going to be, I think they're going to give it to us with the intention of reducing deaths. That's going to be the big selling point. Less deaths. So if you like cars, get behind deaths. No, if you like driving your own cars, be comfortable with a few dead people. Because that's what they're going to promise. That's what they're going to say. And I'm for it. I'm for technology. It's not like I'm against it. I'm for it. But I do like driving my own car. But maybe this is just the human experiencing extreme change in 2024/almost 2025. Same time, maybe people had the same thought about around around the time the first automobiles were invented and people were still riding around on horses. Oh, you're never gonna give me an engine. What is an engine? Does it even have any horsepower? Where does it shit from? All the questions people were concerned about, same thing. A little bit diff, same thing. But I said to myself, again, if we're gonna somehow fight this, if we're gonna have to fight it, if it comes down to it, autonomous vehicles versus humans. Do we want it? Do we not want it? Is it a thing? Because people clap for it. I get excited. I see technology. I clap for it. But at the same rate, I do get a little bit sus. I get it as always. I get a little sussed out with the feeling of autonomy taken away from me, given to the machine. And it's an autonomous car. What about autonomy of the person then? What about autonomous persons then? Is what I say. But then I'm like, no, the pros of a driverless car is that you can get head in the car all the time. You can get head all day, every day. You could be in the car getting head the second that door closes by. You could be getting head to the second you get dropped. You could be getting dropped off and still getting head. No longer have to worry about, oh, am I gonna lose focus while I'm driving? How many people have had to really focus because they were getting head while driving? Which, by the way, it builds character. It builds a strong man or woman to be able to get finger fucked and or head whilst driving and still maintain focus. We don't have that. We got softer, they say that, we got softer people these days. But at the same rate, we've kind of got the hardest people at the same rate. And every period's challenges are unique to its own. No time period is harder or softer. I don't know. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how I feel about it. I do like technology, especially when it's mixed in with some sort of, music. I see the robots are coming in. There's Boston Dynamics doing amazing shit. There's all other companies. Elon Musk is also making robots. That's another. The Optimus robots were viewed, shaking their booties and creating drinks for people, I think, and conversing with people, giving feedback, taking information, responding, human-like, cool, yes, powered with a little bit of AI, maybe. And again, they're saying that these things are going to be getting more and more embedded in our lives in the next few years, maybe 5 years, 10 years, a few decades for sure, probably, maybe. And I don't know how I feel about it. A little bit of it is, again, I guess, one of those things that people are as a species, we are attracted to shiny objects. You're like, shiny object, I want one. Give me a robot. But the biggest question we should be asking ourselves is that if these AI-powered robots are turned off and you fuck them, is that okay? That's, I think, when it gets down to, I think we'd like to know as a species, as the human race is, taking those steps further into the future, we ask ourselves, is it okay to fuck an AI robot when it's plugged off or the battery is, and when the juices are out, is it okay to fuck it when it's turned off? And leave a comment. If you think it's okay because it's just a robot, it doesn't really understand what's going on, but then I'm like, what about the AIs? What about maybe a little bit of consciousness? What about a little bit of sentience? Can you fuck a robot that's sentient, but it's turned off? Is that okay? Because we need to clear this shit up right now before it gets ahead of us, and it's already getting there. So these are the hard questions we should be asking, and I will not stop. The good thing is, I think that whether you do decide to fuck them if they are turned off or on, it doesn't. I think that essentially will kind of, it will save some marriages because it'll alleviate cheating, I think. If you were to get one of those really good, real fake, you really hyper realistic face masks, and they, give it one of those silicone bodies where it's very human and it's talking and it's moaning and all that shit, and you put on whoever's face you like to fuck outside your marriage, you're fucking them. Next thing you know, marriage safe. This marriage could go on forever. Or you leave your wife or husband and go stay permanently with the robot, and civilization crumbles into pieces. But the good thing is that it's autonomous. They're autonomous. That's the good thing. I am excited. I'm genuinely excited, but I'm a little bit I think it's just a little autonomous vehicles, autonomous robots. all over the place. And it's not like we're going ahead and coming up with new ways of alleviating all the jobs that it's going to be replacing in the near. We're just making these things and we're like, yes, of course they're going to be, nobody's come up with new jobs. That's that. Or maybe we need to change our whole frame of mind on what it means to work and what it means, because people find meaning in work. Maybe. Maybe some people. I don't necessarily believe that people find, maybe there's a little bit of meaning in work, but I don't think work, you need to be busy, you need to be occupied. That's the thing. I don't think, but these are all the, they're connected questions, which I don't have the answer to, which I'm curious about, because we are living in this time and we are further evolving and moving forward. And yeah, do we change our conception, what it means to be dealing with the monies? Or is that just commie talk? Because if they're trying to get us with commie talk and fucking, money that's not paper money, they're trying to get us on those, tokens, online tokens, all these, it's a little bit tricky. It's tricky, but I'm excited for it. What do you guys and gals think? Do you feel like, do you want some sort of electrical currency? Do you want some sort of, autonomous robot that's doing all your tasks? You don't have to clean, you don't have to cook, you don't have to take care of your babies, you don't have to go to work. And what do? Just, again, maintain the robots. Or do other stuff. There will be other stuff. We keep saying that, but nobody's come up with the other stuff. I think other stuff will just actually giving people more space to do what it is that they would normally do if they weren't quote unquote working, which will just become the thing that you just do. Just get up and do the thing you do. That's your thing. Maybe our whole frame mind of like work and like how you talk to people will change. What do you do? I'm just doing the thing I'm doing right now. I'm not, what do you do for that? Just, I'm doing this thing. That's what I do. But I don't know. Leave a comment if you like. If you don't, still leave a comment. What I try to remember is that every time I see blind people in groups of more than one, which is 2 people, I go and separate them because I don't want to see the blind leading the blind. Anytime I see a blind person closely placed to another blind, I go and just remove them from the situation, because I hate to see that. So many times, taking it upon myself, 2 blind people walking down the street, I will go ahead and just redirect one in the opposite direction, because I'm like, who's leading who over here? I don't want to see this. And I like to invite other people to do the same. If you do see more than one blind person at a time, please remove them from the vicinity and just redirect them to another direction. They should not be together. So we've heard that saying, it's as old as time itself, blind leading the blind. So I don't care if they're father and child, separate them. I don't care if they're lovers, 2 blind lovers, separate them. You should not have that. It should not be allowed. There was a time where I used to believe that, this was probably the mid-'80s where I came up with the idea of all-you-can-eat pussy. And that's when I was taking over the brothel business. And that's when I said to myself, you know what? Seems to be working out for food joints. Why not bring it to our business, the brothel business, the puss/cock business? And I said to myself, let's give the people what they want. And it was a bang in town. From 84 to 94, it was all-you-can-eat puss. Throughout the city, all you can eat puss city, that was the name of the joint. It was great at first, and it worked on trust, mutual trust and respect. We said, you know what, if we provide a service for people, if we give them what they like, if you put on a little bit of good music, a little bit of free tits, a little bit of, maybe not free, but like, all you can eat tits, all you can eat puss, maybe people will come, maybe people will stay longer, maybe people will congregate, maybe people will bring a friend, build community, center around tits and puss and cock. And it was great at first. It was great. The first 5 years were fantastic. People were coming in, enjoying having a good time. But then eventually, little by little, people started consuming more and more and more. And all of a sudden, we started to look at we were closing in on the decade, and we looked at the numbers, and it was just like, man, our puss and cocks are getting worked way too much. Dude, people are actually coming in and taking it literally, and they're not leaving. They are not leaving, because it says it all you can eat puss, all you can eat cock, all you can. And that's when I said, you know what, these numbers are not working for us anymore. We worked on a trust-based relationship where, it's a concept, it's a metaphor for a lot. It's not supposed to mean literally all you can eat. We gotta close up shop, we gotta go home, get rest. These ladies deserve a rest. As a good pimp, I said that to myself. And my bitches too. I said, you know what, things are gonna change. I know you've been working like this for 10 years. I said that. But at the same rate, there's a lot of profits to be made. I'm like, we're not getting out of this game for sure. We're staying here, but something needs to be changed. And I thought to myself, I went ahead, I meditated a little bit on the concept, and by that I mean I jerked off. I rested, and then I meditated some more, and by that I mean I jerked off some more. And then I took some rest, and then I meditated some more, and by that I mean I jerked off. And then it came to me that, you know what, the concept of all you can eat puss, as great as it is not feasible in the long term to maintain this business model, which is why I switched and turned the game upside down, inside out, on its head. And I came up with a new business model called cock, paper, scissor. That's right, cock, paper, scissor. This is how it works. You come in the joint, you pay for the scissoring experience, and then you leave. You don't stay there and consume all the scissoring you can get, because that's not good for anybody. Our workers don't get rest, you don't get the rest that you need, but you come in, you cock, paper, scissor. You pay for the scissoring experience. The lady or gent will climb on top of you, they'll scissor with your face, they'll rub their clit on the tip of your nose. Some fellow will dangle his nuts in your mouth, lady. Happy anniversary. And after you paid, you enjoyed your services, you will kindly leave the facilities to make room for others to come and enjoy. And that's when everything changed. That's when some sort of a balance was retained, some sort of equilibrium was achieved, some sort of medium happy was found for not just the workers, not just myself as a business owner, for everybody involved. And it was great. And I said, you know what? It was a great idea to have the all you can eat puss or all you can eat cock in the beginning. Yes, but that is not maintainable. You should definitely take some time, turn the inventory around, and have people leave so that they want to come back. And that's again when I came up with cock, paper, scissor. You come in, pay for it. If you pay a little bit more, you actually do get to scissor. At our joint, you actually do get to scissor with our employees. Cost you a little bit more, but that's the whole point, isn't it? That is the whole point, so that you can actually have a little bit more fun and enjoy. Because if it's all you can eat, you're just gonna stuff your face with clits, and you're not gonna know what to do with yourself after. The next time you come in, it doesn't even do anything for you. That's why I did it for everybody. You're welcome. As the old saying, of course, goes, they say don't run with scissors, which is heartbreaking because they don't actually tell you what to run with. That is the problem. A lot of times they say don't do this, but they don't tell you what to do, which is why I came up with a whole bunch of variety of items that I thought about, which are still sharp enough for you to be able to run with if you're not running with scissors, because they say that. I don't know why, but no other object in human history has had that kind of, I don't know what it is. It's just people don't like it. People see other people running with scissors. All of a sudden they're like, oh, don't run with scissors. Without even giving one of those, like, you got to replace this. You remove one habit, replace it with another. You got to do that. So instead of running with scissors, because that's for some reason frowned upon in society, running with other sharp objects. I thought about this long and hard. For a long time while I was hard, I thought about it. And I came up with a whole bunch of stuff. Sharp knives. You could run with sharp knives. If you're like, society looks down upon me if I run with scissors. Sharp knives are just as good. Run with sharp knives. It works just as good. We actually have teamed up with Sharp Knives Company, and they make the sharpest knives. The metal is fucking gorgeous. You can Literally, you don't even need, you can just stand by it and, you know, give yourself some cuts if you like, or a piece of meat, or, you know, so these things are dangerous, but you can run with them. Sharp Knife Company. So that's one thing that you could run with that's sharp, that they're not scissors. Other items that you could run with that are not scissors, but are also, you know, good to run with. Shards of glass. That's shards of glass. Normally you're like, oh, do I gotta go out there and purchase my own beverage, let's say, that comes with a glass bottle. Normally, you know, typically a lot of liquid manufacturing company, drink manufacturing company, they opt for the plastic, which is no bueno for your boy. I like to go with my own glass bottles. You know, I'll purchase something that's coming in a glass bottle. But if I get it, times are, you know, you gotta make, you know, they say a penny saved is a penny, or a penny saved is a penny earned. They say that a penny saved is a penny earned. So if you're not gonna go spend the money on bottles that are made of glass and hope for it to one day accidentally fall off the counter and break into pieces, so you'd end up with shards of glass, I recommend finding yourself a back alley somewhere, preferably behind some sort of restaurant facility. If there's a bunch of restaurants, go to the back alley. If you walk around the garbage bins, you will for sure find some shards of glass. Stick your palms on the shards of glass. Embed them in your skin. If you see a little bit of blood, you're on the right track, it's working. Then get up and start running. So you can run with that. It's fantastic. It's actually not as good as scissors, but again, we're working with what we have. Do it yourself, really. These are the messages that we're all about here. Do it yourself. Other sharp objects, you could, again, not as good as scissors, because again, scissors fucking top tier, but still these work. Little toothpicks, sharp toothpicks, get like 5, 6, 7, put them between your fingers and just run with it. Or grab a whole bunch in the palm of your hand, just run with it. Just as good. It'll definitely, if you fall and trip, it'll definitely puncture. It'll definitely, some of them may break, not reliable, again, like scissors, but sharp toothpicks, still very good. You know, not frowned upon. People won't look at you and be like, that guy's running with toothpicks again. They won't do that. Whereas if you're running out with scissors, Judgment City, all day. Other objects you could run with that are not scissors, but are also still a little bit sharp, not gonna lie to you. Forks, ladies and gentlemen, I know this one everybody has access to. Vast majority of people come out of the mother's birthing canal, AKA the puss, AKA the vaginal canal. They come out holding a fork. So you should have a fork available to you. And you're like, I can't run with scissors because, again, the stigma, I get it. But you have a fork, run with the forks. Works great. You fall, you know, scratch, just a little bit of a, maybe just a little bit of just, it's in your abdominal now. Good, it's working. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a lot of times people are asking themselves, how could I surprise my lover and give him or her head or eat her box? How could I surprise them? The best way to surprise your lover and give them head or eat out that box is catch them off guard when they're not looking. When they get home, you should be hiding behind the door. As soon as he or she closes the door, remove the pants, get in the box, get on the cock, gluck, gluck, right there, right there, surprise, as soon as the door closes. That's one way. Other ways you could surprise your lover with giving them head and or eating out the box so that you catch them off guard and you surprise them, and it's just a lovely gesture. I would say hide in the trunk of the car. Like they're, you know, it's, you know, 4:30 in the morning, 5:45, they're out the door, they've shaved, they've shower shaved, they're out the door, and they've just gotten their cup of coffee, maybe they're eating a little sandwich, and get in the trunk when they're not looking, sneak somehow into the front seat Either go over the car, go climb, he's freaking out of this. The whole element of surprise is the key concepts. You climb on top of the vehicle while they're on the highway, smash a window, climb in the front seat, give them head. They'll be still, they're coming to, they're still, it's the early hours of the day. They'll be glad you did it. Climb in the car, give them head and or eat out their box. And once they come, you just, again, this is an act of service, it's a service, it's an act of service, act of love. Once the cars kind of slow down a little bit, I'm talking maybe like, I don't know, 40K, 60 miles an hour, whatever you use, doesn't matter, metric, whoever cares, doesn't matter. Roll out the side, just roll out on the side of the highway and roll back into bed. You'll be, it's one of those little things, the little things. How else can you surprise your lover and give them head and or eat out the box so that you catch them in a, catch them, you surprise them and you give them a good time. They leave the house to go to work. You leave a little bit earlier. You say, I'm going out for a jog. I'll see you when you get back home, sweetheart. Mwah, mwah, kiss, kiss, yum, yum. Get to their workplace. And as soon as they're pressing they get to their work, they're pressing the button to get inside their elevator. Elevator door opens, you're on your knees, glug glug, eating out the box right there. Surprise, surprise. They're at work, it's a big meeting, it's one of the most important meetings of the month. Maybe it's a merger deal, a major merger deal, I'm talking about. As soon as the deal's about to be made, lower yourself from the ceiling, glug glug, eat out the box, climb back up. Roll back into bed. No one's the wiser. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'll be back here again on Friday. Peace out.